Asmita, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
मैम आपको आवाज नहीं आ रही?
Asmita, you are on mute. We can't hear you.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes,
audible.
yes.
Now it's okay.
Thank you. All right, so good evening, everyone. I'm Asmita, Center Head, Jamshedpur Management Association, and I welcome you all on behalf of JMA. Thank you for joining us today for this very interesting webinar in leadership lessons from Ramayana. Indian mythology is a vast and diverse collection of ancient stories and scriptures that offer timeless insights into various aspects of life, including leadership and management. Many of the principles and teachings found in these mythological tales are still relevant today and can be applied to modern-day management practices. On that note, let me now briefly introduce our speaker, Mr. Saurav Sharma. He has a rich experience in automobile industry with keen passion for electrical vehicles. He has been working with Maruti Suzuki for 14 years now and has extensively handled network development management in Nexa and Arena channel. He was selected for pursuing Duke of Edinburgh Commonwealth Study Conference in Canada. The selection is very critical and there are only 160 to 200 people selected globally. He loves to talk about myriad topics including electric cars, electric revolution, business profitability, artificial intelligence, machine learning, epic productivity, and having winning mindset. Science, astrology to history, technology, and mythology are one of his favorite subjects. He enjoys motivating and inspiring young minds through his sessions of knowledge sharing. He believes one has to work hard each day and only then success shall make its way to you. Welcome, sir. We are very excited to have you on JMA platform and very much intrigued to listen to you. Request you to please take the session forward.
Yeah. Hi, Asmita. And am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Hi, Asmita. And a very big hello to everybody over here, to all the dignitaries, to all the members. Uh, and I would begin with saying, really, Asmita, I'm really, I must say, humbled to hear what you have said. It's a real delight to listen so much about yourself. So, must say that. And on that note, my folded hands namaskar to everybody. मेरा करबद्ध नमस्कार आप सभी के लिए. It's indeed a pleasure to be over here. And as Asmita mentioned, our Indian mythology is a vast subject. It's something it's something which has intrigued people from across the globe, across the world, and it is something that has been there for last so many years. So today specifically, we'll be talking about our leadership lessons from Ramayana. So before we get into the exact thing that we'll be talking about, I'll like to little touch upon Ramayana as a subject, Ramayana as an epic. So if you see, Ramayana is basically a story about the Lord Ram, who was the king of Ayodhya and who married goddess Sita, who was the princess from Mithila, which is in current day Nepal and parts of Bihar. And it was a story of exile of this couple along with his brother, who was Lakshman, to forest. And over this saga of 14 years, they have been able to generate so much of wisdom for humankind, for mankind to live by. Starting with the very first thing to begin with, the first thing that Ramayana teaches us is about its length. If you see, Ramayana has close to some 24,000 shloks, and it has got some seven cantos, which are actually called seven kands in Hindi language. And it has been written, it is said, it has been written for last so many years and was staged around some 7,000 years ago, as what the developments say. Now, let us start with exactly what it is teaching, what it is exactly teaching us. So, the first thing that comes to my mind is commitment. I think that's the biggest thing that Ramayana teaches us. See, Lord Dashrath had to keep his vow that he gave to his wife Kekai, that was given to her at some point of time. And Kekai clearly demands two things. One is exile for Lord Ram, and his son Bharat, who was her biological son, to be coronated as king. Obviously, when such a thing happens to be heard by any father, it would only result in a large amount of trauma and a large amount of anguish. But yes, when gets to know about it, when Lord Rama gets to know about it, he very coolly takes it in his stride, and he mentions it that now that was a commitment that his father gave to Kekai. He's bound to honor it. So that clearly comes out as a number one learning for all of us, that irrespective of our organization, irrespective of our work profile, our commitment to work should be unshakable and should be unwavering. And incidentally, if you hear Lord, his brother Lakshman, he expressed a lot of anger. He said that is unjust. That is not the way it should have been. Why are we subjected to so much of trauma? But it was Lord Rama's commitment that he actually went through. Now, the journey started, and the journey started from kingdom of Ayodhya and moved across parts of UP to Prayagraj, and then it moved towards MP Satna, and then it started to move on and move on and move on, and finally it reached in present day Nasik, which was called Panchvati by then. So even if you go to Nasik today, you will be able to see certain parts of those places where the trio stayed, Ram, Lakshman, and Sita. A second important lesson over here is patience. You know what happened? Ravan, he convinced Marich, who was another demon, to take the shape of a golden deer and move and go around in the forest and in the vicinity of the hut where the trio were staying. And obviously, Sita got very much allured by the sight of that beautiful golden deer. And she immediately insisted Rama to go and get that deer for her. Obviously, Lord Ram counseled her that he'll be getting it. It's a very small deer. We'll do it in some point of time. But Sita got restlessly impatient, restlessly impatient. And finally, Lord Rama had to give way and he moved about going and fetching for this. And then the real crescendo happened. It was not a simple deer. And the deer started to run at the top of his speed and Ram started to chase him at his own top of his speed. And immediately, after some time, slowly, they reached in much depths of the forest. And suddenly, a huge thunderous cry came, Sita bachao, Lakshman bachao. And obviously, in that dense forest, hearing her husband crying, hearing her husband in trouble, she insisted Lakshman to go and save her brother. But obviously, Lakshman knew that there is some sort of conspiracy because he knew his brother well. But over here, one thing that was constant was Sita's impatience to such an extent that she actually started challenging Lakshman on his love and brotherhood for his own real brother. And again, because of this extreme patience, Lakshman had to cave in and he had to go and get for his brother. But then he was conscious of his duties, so he made a boundary of security zone, which was called Lakshman Rekha, and requested Sita not to go out of it. Seeing the opportunity, Ravan came in the form of a sage, asking for alms. And despite the fact that she was made conscious of the fact that this is a forest, she was alerted. She was told not to come out of her safety zone. That lady was again impatient to give alms to the beggar. And obviously that comes out clearly out of her innate ability to help people. But over here is a very big lesson. Sometimes when you get impatient, you really lose it out. Though at that point of time, your state of mind is in a very altered state. You really look forward to having achieved your objective here and now immediately. But actually, it has been proven statistically any decision taken in immediacy, in haste, always results in a bad decision. 99% of time, it does not yield to be a good decision. And that's exactly happened. Lo and behold, Ravana immediately forcefully picked her up, put it in her Pushpak Viman, and took her off. And the entire story seemed to be just coming to an end. So, over here, the second learning is be patient. Be patient. Wait for the opportunity. Do not just rush into it. Now, what happens is that Ravana is taking Lordess Sita in his Pushpak Viman. And over here, you'll get to know another very strong management learning. And that management learning is on his way, she was crying for help. She was seeking help. And there appeared an eagle who was named as Jatayu. And seeing the lady in distress, he immediately raised his flight upwards in the air and came very near to the Pushpak Viman of Lord Ram, of Ravana. And he started to, in fact, challenge Ravan. He said, "What a shameless character are you? You have abducted a lady without her husband, without any weapons, all by treachery and trickery, and you are pushing her off." But over here, Ravana refused to listen. But Jatayu continuously fought with Ravan to rescue Sita. But obviously, Ravan was very powerful and he used his last resort. He slayed, he cut the wings of that poor Jatayu. And obviously, being a bird, if you are wingless, you are absolutely powerless. And immediately, when his wings were lost, Jatayu fell off to the ground. Over here, there's an important learning. In your organization, in your culture, in your milieu, always help people in distress. When you are helping somebody, remember, help is getting created for you in some fashion or other and some point of time later. And when you help people, you appear as someone who is sincere, someone who is authentic, someone who can be looked up to. And that goes a long way in your own personal development and professional development in terms of little faster promotions, little faster growth in the organization. And now the story goes off to Sri Lanka, where Ravan takes off Sita. And now when Ram and Lakshman come back, they don't find Sita in the same hut. And you know what? This has not been documented. The first person to cry and show anguish was not Lakshman, but Lord Ram himself. He was so emotionally broken down at the loss of his wife that he actually cried. He cried to the universe, he cried to the land, he cried to the animals, he cried to the bird, he cried to the entire cosmos. And it was Lakshman, who was a more brat type of an individual, who counseled his brother. And immediately, another theory that comes up for us learning was crisis management. There was a crisis. Sita is no longer with them. She was the wife of Lord Ram. And now another chapter of the story starts, crisis management and how to actually put things back into order. And what is the best thing that they did was start searching. An important learning over here is whenever there is a crisis, nothing helps if you express your anger, your anguish, or you put your hands up, put your hands down, pull your hair apart. You will have to get into action to arrest the situation. And the two brothers immediately started moving forward because in the forest, in those dense forests, which was called Dandak forest, that is what best they could do. They could march ahead, move forward, and start searching. Now, what happens is when you are very clear in your mission, because you are hit with a crisis and you want to now solve it, you start getting resources and people and places that actually help you in obtaining your objective. Now, very clearly, another skill that you'll see now is Ram now meets King Sugriv and Hanuman. So King Sugriv has a history. His brother was Bali, who had actually outthrown him, who actually usurped his wife and captured his entire kingdom. And he was living in solace in Kishkinda, which is now in currently parts of AP and Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. And Lord Ram and Lakshman, they were so very honest in expressing who are they, where are they coming from, what problem are they going through. And immediately they developed friendship with Sugriv. And similarly, since they exhibited so much of truth, Sugriv also immediately expressed his version of the story. And he also expressed that he has been going through so much of distress. So, a very clear skill that comes out over here for all of us is networking and partnership. It helps. And it has not to be somebody you have to appease to, somebody you have to pander to his demand. Be very honest. If you find the person to be like-minded and you can go along well, please go along well. If you do not find the person who does not go along well with you, does not come in sync with your set of value system and your ethics, there is no foundation. You just move out. So it was a very truthful and free-flowing networking, which was indeed a very good networking. And another very important thing, if you see over here, that Lord Ram exhibited in networking was while they were crossing River Ganga, when they were coming from their own hometown towards the other part of the MP, there was this boat rider who was called Kevat. And Lord Ram expressed his complete love. Although that was a very small portion of the work that that guy did, he just helped them get along the river. But Lord Ram expressed a lot of friendship and intimacy towards that guy also. And now, if you see moving forward, we see that the two have established good networking, and now actually came the crisis management part two, allocation of resources. So, what were the resources then? There was no men, there were only animals. And in animals, they were all monkeys and bears. And what Lord Ram did was he mobilized a very strong army of all monkeys and bears. And the problem statement, bringing Sita back. Resources, the entire army or consisting of monkeys and bears. And the strength of your own army, obviously mild compared to what which Ravana had at his end. So now here you see the leadership skills of Lord Ram. He motivated his team to such a level, to such an extent that people, developed real special abilities to be really a good face against Ravan's army. Now comes part 3, resource allocation. You have mobilized resources, you have your problem statement defined, and now how you resource allocate. So Lord Rama again over here played a very prominent role. He knew that in his army there were two monkeys who were called Nal and Neel, and they had very good engineering skills. So obviously they were at Rameshwar, which is the southernmost point of our Bharat, and they had to reach Sri Lanka. And so they had to cross this Indian Ocean from Rameshwar to Sri Lanka. So at that point of time, there was no other way to reach but to cross over it. So he mobilized them into building a pathway. And then he mobilized Hanuman into building a relationship before actually going forward to Ravana and identifying where Sita is actually in Sri Lanka. Again, over here, an important part is as a good leader, you should be able to know which guy in your team does what best. You know, a lot of problems happen when we mismanage. As a leader, it is very easy to get things done because you may use aggressive modes of communication, or you may give some sort of punishment. But it has been proven statistically that unless you allocate your resources commensurate with the abilities of your team, results will never be forthcoming and as fruitful as you wanted them and as you defined them in your problem statement. An important learning over here, again from Ramayana from here. Now comes another very, very intriguing part. So Hanuman was given the task of going and finding Sita ji in Sri Lanka. And Hanuman was standing by the seaside thinking, how does he do it? Because his leader has given him the duty. Over here, there was another commander in the army who was known Jamvant. He was a bear, and he made him realize what the powers were hidden there inside Hanuman and told him that in his childhood he was given a curse by sages because he was a very naughty child, that whenever he would be invoked for his powers, he can rise up to the strength. And you know what happened? Hanumanji immediately realized what his powers were, what could he do by the dint of those powers, and he immediately crossed the ocean. Again, a very important learning for us as a leader. We might allocate work, but then down the line, do we have a second line which can further drill down things into actionable points? That's exactly what the commander Jamvan did. The leader gave him the task of meeting Sita, but Jamvant, had clear action points as to how does he meet his ends by clearly identifying doable and motivational things for his people. Now Hanuman reached Sri Lanka and he met Sita. And he met Sita at a place called Ashok Vatika. Today, also in Sri Lanka, they have this called Sita Amman garden. It was called Ashok Vatika. And again, over here, Hanuman ji did a very interesting thing. You'll all be very, very pleased to hear it. He did a SWOT analysis. At that point of time, Hanumanji did a SWOT analysis. He wanted to see what were the strengths of the army against which his entire Varnar Sena is waiting at the ashram to cross over and come and fight. So he checked how capable his army was. He went about destroying by eating fruits in Ashok Vatika. And then his tail was burned. And then he was produced before Ravan. He wanted to see Ravan. He wanted to see firsthand. Again, it is a Japanese principle which also says Genba. Go where you want to see what you want to do. And this is exactly what Hanumanji was doing, Genba visit. And then he just wanted to check the might of the entire people he was up and fighting against. Going forward, he came back and gave the news, and things started to work in the direction. Over here, Nal and Neel, you know what? 48 kilometers of distance from Rameshwaram to Sri Lanka was built by Nal and Neel in 5 days. It is still in the history of the world a dated engineering marvel. Nobody ever in the history of mankind has been able to produce this astonishing feat of engineering marvels till date, till now. Another very important fact about it, they were floating stones. till date said, I urge you all, please go and see Ram Setu movie. It is a web series. I see Akshay Kumar into it. It will actually prove you the strength of it. It is made of radioactive isotopes, and it is still floating there, and it has was built by these Null and Neil by their engineering marvel. It has the capability to produce electricity for millions of years if the energy is harnessed right away. So over here we see resources allocated well, problem statement clearly defined, and fighting about to happen. And the fighting started to happen. And in the first episode, suddenly what happened was the son of Ravan, Meghnad, he does not kill actually, he injures Lakshman and injures Lakshman really very badly. Lakshman is almost like semi dead, unconscious. Over here comes another very important learning for all of us. There is just one doctor because there's nobody available. There's just one doctor in the country of Sri Lanka, and he was called Vaidya Sushen. Just imagine, there's so much of learning from this Vaidya Sushen also. Though he is not the main pivotal character, he comes all the way at the request of Lord Ram to treat his brother. He comes all the way from his home to get to know exactly how can he solve the injury that has happened to that has happened to Lakshman. His entire home is in trouble. His entire country is under siege by this Vanar Sena. But for him, Lord Sushen, duty is paramount. For Dr. Sushen, for Vaidya Sushen, duty is paramount. He makes sure that he gives his treatment, the best treatment that he can give to Lakshman. And that's how it happens. And he says that Lakshman can be cured by a medicine called Sanjeevani Booty, which is prevalent in Gandharman mountains in present day Nepal. So you visualize, you are at Ramesh, you are at Sri Lanka, you have to fly all the way India, starting from Chennai up till Madhya Pradesh, and then reach Nepal, find out that medicine from Gandhamardan fountains and get it back. And again, Lord Ram knew it was only Hanuman who could did it, and Hanuman does it. Now, another important thing that we learn from here. So when Hanumanji goes and reaches Nepal and he reaches the mountain, this gentleman was not able to identify the medicine. He was not able to identify the medicine. Over here comes another very important learning for all of us. So there were two options with him. Either he goes back sobbing that he could not find and so he come back, or he use his decision making and arrest the situation. And lo and behold, the second thing happened. He used his decision making. He immediately picked it up. What? The entire mountain. Hanumanji on his feet with a very nimble thinking plucked up the entire mountain, put it on his put it on his shoulder, and exactly started to move back to Nepal. And I'm sure you must have seen that picture of Hanumanji carrying Sanjeevani Booty's mountain, Ganmardhan mountain, coming way back from Nepal to Sri Lanka, where Lakshman was injured and was lying unconscious. This is something which is a big learning for us, that there will always be problems in the duty that comes to us. There will always be tricks and challenges that we need to face, but our on the spur thinking, on the feet thinking can only help us to come out of the situation. Crying, sobbing, thinking, moving away, shirking, avoiding will never help. We'll have to rise up to the occasion, think and act smart. Again, we move forward from here. So the battle has started, and there are series. So in the series one, we see that Lakshman gets injured. Now in series two, what happens was there is this brother of Ravan who was called Vibhishan. I'm sure you must have heard in Hindi, Ghar ka bedi lanka dhai. It is something that has become synonymous with Vibhishan. But we'll also talk about Vibhishan and Ravana a little later. But over here, there's an important management learning. Vibhishan, he comes to Ramji's clan. He comes to Lord Rama's clan with folded hands, and he requests for his company, for his solitude. You know what? Lord Rama did not take a decision whether he would accept Vibhishan or not. He listened to his entire team. He respectfully heard their opinion. He respectfully watched what they were seeing. There was a lot of pros and cons. No, no, he's a messenger of enemy. What if he gets into us and gets to know our secrets? He's a spy. He might not be true to us. He would keep giving some information to us, or he might have some obnoxious plan with us. He might kill all of us. After so much of discussion that went across his team, and when the team finally agreed that yes, we can take in, because in the Indian culture, somebody who comes to take refuge in you, who is called Sharnarthi, and it is your bounden duty as humans to accept him with open arms and give him all the relief that you can. And hence, with the consensus of the entire team, Lord Rama accepted him and he became a part of the team. Another learning for all of us: listen to your team. Just not listen to your team, respect your team's opinions. Go by what they say. This will embolden them. This will empower them. This will create a trust in them. This will make them more sincere. This will make them more onboarded and aligned to what you think, what you feel, and will help them heighten their commitment towards company's cause, towards their own cause, and will help them build a better individual. Again, another episode in the war that is ongoing between Ram and Ravana. So there is this brother of Ravan who was called Kumkarn. You in all our childhood we have been hearing, "Abe kya Kumkarn ki tarah so raha hai?" Because Kumkarn had this, you can say, blessing or this some sort of an omni from God, that he would sleep for 6 months and he would be awake for 6 months. And while he was deep asleep during his 6 months sleeping time, he was woken up by his brother Ravan. And his brother Ravan explained him that there is this army that is, taken siege of Sri Lanka. It is only going to kill us. And this is Lord Ram. His wife Sita is in Ashok Vatika. You know what Kumkarn said? You said, "You are my elder brother, but you have committed a folly. How dare you could pick somebody's wife with her no carrying weapons, without her husband, abduct her and bring her in Ashok Vatika in our country? And are you even aware that he is the god?" Because Lord Ram was the god, he was the avatar of Vishnu as per Hindu mythology. You are up against a wrong enemy. And whenever you are up against a wrong enemy, the only your results are defeat. But you know what? You know what? Though Kumkaran gave a real moral lecture, and that was a true lecture because it was the order of his elder brother, he exhibited an extreme high level of professionalism, an extreme high level of sincerity. He went into the battlefield. He knew he was fighting against God. He knew he was fighting against God's own army, which was Vanar Sena. But he exhibited a very high level of sincerity towards his brother, towards the cause, which was fight for his brother, fight with the God's army. Another lesson for all of us: whenever our companies need us, whenever our companies need our services, or whenever our family needs our services, we need to raise voice. And in case it's not available, we need to do what's best fits for our company, for our family, for ourselves. That's the basic and the very fundamental thing that we do, which Kumkan exhibited. These were few things, that we all get to know in our real life. We all know them in some shape or manner. We also keep feeling them in some shape or manner. We also keep knowing them in some shape or manner. But you know what? In our daily lives, we just keep tend to forget them. Why? Because we get so much engaged in our daily's work that they somehow relegate to the background. They just don't come to the fore. And we believe that we are able to manage things across. But when we practice them, and we practice them every single day, it helps. It definitely helps. Few more things that Ramayana taught us from leadership perspective was ethics. When Hanumanji met Sita in Ashok Vatika, Hanumanji offered her, "You come on my back, I'll take you there." You know what Sita ji said? That is unethical. Lord Ram should come and fight with him, and then I would be rescued. That's the value system. That is why every company has value system. Every family has a value system. These are a values. That lady stood steadfast. No, the value system says he has to come and kill Ravan. The culprit has to be punished. That is why we all are bound by companies policies, and if we do something that is against the company's policies, we are penalized, we are punished, so we should stay away from it. Secondly, Ram never went out about with war with Ravan. He first sent Hanuman as a peace truce maker when he went to identify Sita. But Ravan was never willing to listen. Ethics, it is important. It is very, very important in all our life. We may see a very favorable situation without using ethics now, but sooner or later it says the world is a full circle, the universe is a complete circle. It will come back to us in some shape or manner. And when it comes back to us, it hits us from all the four corners, and then it's too late for us to make amends. So ethics, though seem little dreary, but when adopted and implemented, they really give results which are long term and long sustaining, then give you fulfillment and content. Another very important lesson that we learn is time management. Now you might be wondering, how is time management over here? When Bharat, the Kakai's son, who instigated, not exactly instigated, who was exactly instrumental in getting Rama into exile, he said to Lord Ram, if you do not come back in 14 years, I will commit suicide. So much strong was this statement that Lord Ram exactly knew that his counter is open. He has to reach back in 14 years so that Bharat does not lose his life. He synchronized and managed everything so smooth and seamlessly that things just wrapped up in 14 years. Just wrapped up in 14 years. And another very important learning for us, time management. If we do not adhere time will never adhere us. It has been proven. Even if you see our leaders like our freedom fighters, or you see all the accomplished people, it is the biggest skill that they do. In fact, there is a very acclaimed author, Robin Sharma, who has written about 5 a.m. club and everything. They all talk about time management. And you see all these renowned basketball players, they're up in the morning by 3 when we all are fall for when we all are deep asleep. Time, they say time waits for none, and it is exactly what Ramayana also teaches us. Another very important thing was, and which is very important for us, listen to people who say yes to you, but listen closely to people who say no to you. We as humans have this tendency, we do not want to hear criticism, we just rebel. It invokes that sense of flight and fear in us. Our egos are hurt, our egos are sagged. But you know what? When you hear your critic closely, you rise well. Every time Vibhishan was always counseling Ravan what not to do correctly, or what to do correctly, what not to do. And he was everyday counseling. But Ravan listened to his other men who were his yes men. But let me tell you, in real world, yes men are really your no-no men. You see in history, even if it was Napoleon, or it was other great leaders in the world, or Mussolini for that matter from Italy, or Stalin, it was their biggest yes men who led to their downfalls, because they refused to hear to their critics. Their egos were so full that they just wanted to hear something that is sonorous to their ears, something that was mellifluous to their ears, something which came as contradictory to their viewpoint was shunned and was taken away. Another very important thing, that is gossip mongering. In our offices, we are a lot into gossip mongering, a lot into gossip mongering. But gossip mongering only hampers. Mantra was the lady servant of Queen Kekai. And it was this lady who can be said as atomically instrumental for conduct of Ramayana. She actually poisoned Kekai and made her remind of the vows that she can take from her husband Dashrath, so that her son becomes king and Lord Ram is away for some n number of years into the forest. And when you are ears to all these gossips, you are more earful to all these gossip, and oftentimes you only end up taking a wrong decisions. Stay away from gossip mongering in places. It gives you a lot of pleasure. It gives you a lot of relief. I won't say you be stoic or you just be, somebody who is a big controller of self, but do not pay heed to gossips. Do not base your decisions on gossips. Stay grounded. State facts, identify the problem statement, identify the pros and cons, and I'm sure you're going to take the best decision. Gossips only color your aptitude. Gossip only colors your attitude. It does not do any good to you. It does not do any good to you. And a most important thing that I believe that comes from Ramayana is never misuse power. Never misuse power. Even in a history, you see all people who have misused their power have only fallen. They've never risen. You know, Hanuman, it is still said that he is still alive in this current world. It is said, well, there are no statistical evidences for it, but it is said. And it is also said that he is the most powerful human being ever born on earth, as per Hindu mythology. He has got astronomical powers, he has got magical powers, spiritual powers. He is like a complete concoction of everything and anything that can happen under the sun. In fact, he was the one who has eaten the sun. You would have you would have heard it in Hanuman Chalisa. Jug Sahes Yojan Par Bhanu, Lilyotahi Madhur Fal Janu. It is said that he ate sun. To such an extent, he was that powerful. But he never misused his power. He never misused. He would rather help. Only when he was there with Sugriv, he was helping Sugriv. Whenever he was with Lord Rama, he was helping Lord Rama. When he reached Sita, he helped. He offered her to carry her on her shoulders. That's how you should be. You should never be misusing your powers. But a complete contrarian is Ravan. He was the one who is actually said a creator of Tandav Strotra. He was a big Shiv ardent of Shivji. And it is said that he had captured the entire powers in his hand. But then the only mistake that he did was he just misused his power. He just misused it so badly that he lost not only his own family, which includes his wife Mandodari, his sons Meghnad, Akshay Kumar, and everybody, but his entire kingdom, his entire palace, his entire everything that he could have in his life, he just lost it. That is why till this date, he is not glorified. He was not a bad human being per se, because he himself had his own ethics. He had a big empire, and Sri Lanka at that point of time was one of the most richest empires. In fact, there were golden houses over there. Just because that king misused his powers and refused to listen to anything and everything, he just lost everything that he could have in his time. And that is how a few things that I believe that it teaches you as to how it is to be done. So from my side, I believe these are the few teachings of Ramayana that we can take from the Lord's epic. And I would like to conclude with a shlok in Sanskrit which say, "Na to asmine samprato, na to asmine samprato, धीरेवांच वीरेवांच शक्तिवाक्यच सदापराहरिच अस्मिन् atvi prithvi cha." It translates into English, on this earth never has there been a man who has been as patient, as strong, as smart, as good, with high forbearance as has been Lord Ram. And clearly, it would not be an overstatement that Ramayana exemplifies and manifests all his powers in totality. And it is a good book for us to reckon with every time, anytime we are doing everything on this earth all the time. So that's it from my side. I'm open to questions now.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. We already have a raised hand. Mr. Mithilesh Kumar Jha. Yes, please go ahead, Mithilesh ji.
Hi. Good evening, ma'am. Good evening,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
This
hi.
excellent lecture, very well narrated and covering many things. I think entire things. I think one, actually, I am also a staunch uh, you can say, believer in Ramayana, that is Ramcharitmanas.
Yeah,
I think one or two things we have to, I have imbibed. I'm trying to think I should imbibe.
yeah,
One episode just, I think you have missed. I think, that is Rama, while the Ram Setu was being built, Rama, there is many pictures there stated there also. Rama was found with squirrel. He was just uh, Rama offering too much
so nice,
love to squirrel. Too
so
much
nice.
because
Yeah,
that shows the leadership and team building.
yeah,
And because that squirrel was carrying small pebbles for as part of his contribution towards the building of this Ram Setu. And Ram was
very,
providing love because that was his utmost sacrifice that squirrel could do. So I
yeah,
think leaders should also praise them also. And second,
exactly.
one thing, or one more thing, he uh, when he was to cross the samudra, you can say that thing he got from Vibhishan. Vibhishan told him because he is of that area. He reminded Rama that samudra is your guru, full guru. So you go and pray samudra. But Lakshman was there. He was not of that opinion. We have
Yeah,
power. We can easily dry the sea and we can go past this to
yeah,
the Sri Lanka. But
you're
he prayed to Samudra, and Nal and Nil was the strength of Nal and Nil was given by the Samudra only. He only
some,
told.
yeah,
So what? How come we those who are adversaries to me, we have to win over him? We can also get clue of win from that party also. So
right.
it's a
You're
very nice example, and you narrated many things very well, sir. At this, you are very younger. At this age, how you have narrated, it's well. I'm saluting you. Thank you, sir.
thank you, humbled.
Sir, can I get an opportunity to speak out?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Please, surely, sir.
On the negative side of this, let me just speak on one topic you have
Yeah,
concluded
yeah,
on Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna.
yeah, yeah,
Although he was aware he is doing the wrong thing, he would have just opposed his leader Ravana.
yeah, yeah.
But by knowing him, he could not oppose. Neither he could oppose nor he just stay back on that. But
Right.
he supported the wrong thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that should not be done. What you say on this topic?
Uh, so, uh, so prima facie, you are right, because it was a wrong. He should not have participated. But I would also like to add that sometimes what happens is for a bigger cause, where your entire family is at stake, your city is at stake. In fact, there is a shlok also in Sanskrit which says, I don't remember the entire shlok, but it says that if your village is at stake, give yourself. If your country is at stake, give yourself. If your family is at stake, give yourself. Don't think about it. And a very similar thing was said by Krishna ji also in Mahabharat when Arjun said that I'm fighting against my own half brothers and sisters, my own cousins. Why should I do it? And he said that's your karma. You are out and bound to do it because that's how things are. So if I join dots on those parameters, I believe he took a right decision at that point of time, considering the construct in which he was in. I hope if that suffices the
Sir,
answer of.
but sir, as per my opinion, he would have saved Lanka if he would oppose the Ravana at that point of time. By doing him so, whether he could be able to convince Ravana, he may get compromise with Rama, and he could have saved the entire Lanka and entire kingdom.
Agree to that. I agree to that. But the unfortunate part was that Ravana was in no mood to listen to anybody. He was hell bent. His ego was so high and so full blown that he just wanted to prove that the decision that he has taken of abducting Sita and killing of the entire Vanar Sena and Ram and showing his power was playing so high on him that he just did not think of any other opinion. He was refusing to talk to anybody on any other point. In fact, Mandodari, who was his wife, she was always counseling him, telling him that he has lost his son. Even his own daughter-in-law, the wife of Meghnad, was crying in front of him, begging for help. But he was so much enthused with the idea of, not losing out from the battle, that he just chose to be there, doing the wrong thing. But yes, prima facie, I'll again agree. Kumkaran uh, could have also taken an alternate path and counseled, but in that point of time, thinking
Hmm.
if I that karma thing, I think construct wise it was
Sir,
okay. Yeah,
sir,
please.
actually, Kumkarna was woke up when the war was in course, matlab, war was continuing. That
Exactly.
in that, so in the middle of war, he could not do, he could not revert back. And
Yeah, yeah,
second one,
yeah.
many a times in field also, we find if someone is too much intelligent than his leader. Hanumana is also example of that. He is far more capable than Sugriv, but he
Yeah.
always obeys Sugriv.
Always obeys Sugriv.
So
Yeah.
this is align myself to the leadership and achieve the goal. Whatever
And
intelligent you may be, if you are not aligned, then that will not give result.
that will not give results. Yeah, very true. I think that also just adds to it, just makes it more complete. Yeah. Questions? I could see some hands.
This is
Hello, sir.
Ravindra, sir.
This is an
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, please carry on, madam.
Hello, sir. This is Anushka.
Yeah,
Sir,
yeah, ma'am.
you talked about lot of things about Ram Hanuman from the good side of the Ramayana.
Yeah, yeah.
I wanted to know Ravan. When he died, he knew that he is the most powerful. He did wrong. He knew everything, and when the death arrived, he took it very. Uh, he welcomed it. Like when he said, "I wanted to die from your hands only. It's my
Exactly.
blessing." So
Yeah.
in some versions, I don't know. Haven't. I don't know. In some versions, it's written that. He welcomed his death, his defeat, that he belongs to this death. And what do we learn from that? Because he also did a good leadership. Uh, he had a good fight and everything. Although he was in the wrong team and wrong paths, but uh, he did a job. He fought a war, and during his death, he accepted his failure also and his bad deeds also. So what do we take from that?
So I believe if s- if something is coming at such a high cost in terms of the loss of your entire family, your own sons, your entire city, people in your city, two times your city got lost. When first time when Hanuman went to find Sita, he burned the entire city, and second time when the actual fight happened, you burned the entire city. So you learning after such a high cost is not suggestible. So if it could have happened in the first place, when Jatayu met him on the way when he was carrying Sita towards Sri Lanka, and even Jatayu
Right.
said that you must immediately release her and give it back to Ram. It is unethical on your part. And if he had done it then, probably that could have been the best option. Even if not done then, when Lord Ram himself offered him the peace truce of giving back Sita and coming to his fold, he still refused. So I think a good deed coming at such a high cost, not really recommended. But obviously, since he gained uh, purity after losing his life at the hands of Lord Rama, uh, good for him that he attained a death from somebody who is the god of the religion. So that wise, good. That's my take on it. What's your view on it?
Okay, I had something like that only, that maybe he did wrong, or he might have understanding that this whole nation has been corrupted by him. So he need to end all of things at once, and maybe he chose to be, even though he has been so many times he has been corrected by his brothers, all, both his brothers corrected him, all other members also, except the his sons. Everyone corrected him, but he didn't listen. So he met his fate. But I just wanted to know, okay, what, how a person who had so much power and strength, and at the end when he lost everything, how he managed to accept that, yeah, this is what I wanted. That
So
was,
that is the humility then. So that's a very big quality. You actually showed it in a very full light. That's the humility that he expresses, though he does it at his very last breath. But again, as a very good leadership, that is his humility, his complete humility. That at his last step, at his last breath, he realizes his folly and just accepts it. So that's a humility. So that's a good characteristic that he exhibited, worth taking, I must say, worth considering.
thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is Ravindra.
Yeah.
You quoted an example of Kumbhakarna, taking towards the side of the Ravana.
Yeah.
And again, an example that, in the difficult situation of the company or a family, friends, we need to stand together. So in other way that Vibhishana leaves the Ravana and comes to the Rama. So how are you going to explain this?
So, you're exactly right. Uh, so that are two viewpoints, two separate viewpoints. Vibhishan chooses the righteous path, the path of dharma, and he has tried hard, and he just does not want to continue. He feels he's like suffocating in the kingdom. He has his own set of value system, his own set of ecosystem, and he feels no longer comfortable, and he sees his outgo when he sees Ram is already there at his doorstep in terms of killing, in terms of attacking the kingdom. But obviously, Kumbhakarna was never suffocating in his kingdom. Kumbhakarna was rather having all everything that he could think of in his kingdom, in Ravan's kingdom. So he did not technically have any problems living over there. It was he had problems when he found his brother abducting Sita and trying to attempt to wage a war with Ram. So that ways, since he just moved out of his discomfort zone, Vibhishan, I think it was okay with it. Okay with it. But yes, when I talk about loyalty perspective, it was a disloyal act. That is why till this date, it is said in Hindi language, "Ghar ka bedi lanka dhai," and anybody who goes about giving secrets of his own family to outsiders is not considered in true light, in good spirit. So obviously, that perspective, being disloyal to his own brother, was not the right thing that he did. I hope I answered you. If there's something more you can add or
Yeah,
you
I
have.
got it. I got it.
Are there any more questions or feedback on the session?
Ashmita, there is no question, but the feedback. Congratulations to you as well as Mr. Saurabh Sharma. He has explained the very important thing in a very, very nicely way. So, which is, I think, in society, in our personal life as well as in professional life, if we understand the sar of Ramayana, that will make us happy, prosperous, and kind enough to deal with the society.
Thank you, sir.
Definitely, sir. Thank you for those closing remarks. I think with that we can close our session and to conclude, to summarize maybe the session, I can say we have touched upon various management aspects, leading by example, having a clear vision, understanding the problem statement, building a strong team, knowing your resources, building trust, being adaptable, being clear in your communication, and leading with compassion, taking responsibility. I think there are multiple aspects, and we have definitely touched upon a few. So thank you so much, sir. And I'm very happy that the audience has been so interactive and has taken so much interest. This topic is very close to our hearts, being an Indian, and
Yeah,
to unfold it in this way was really, really interesting and informative. So thank you, Saurav sir. We were really happy and excited to have you here, and it was all worth it. So thank you again for being here. We look for much more collaborative events in future on JMA platform. And
my
I would
pleasure.
also like to thank our IMA team. So IMA has been pivotal in arranging this session and
Yeah,
making this collaboration happen. So thank you. And I would like to thank our audience as well. Please share your feedback on this session. I have shared the QR code in screen. Please scan it and share your feedback. We would love to hear from you. And we hope to see you in future events of JMA. Thank you so much.
so again, with folded hands, my thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice
Thank you,
evening.
sir.
This evening, good night to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.